Jöreget kívánok, Kucs vagyok. Start of another day, and I don't even know where to begin. Yesterday's video is going to be a tough act to follow. In that, I was driving down the road the other day, or yesterday, I should say, and I happened to glance at the video that I had uploaded to see what type of response or reaction. And I will confess that I was taken aback. I was taken aback. I think it was only yesterday that I was only talking about the disproportionate amount of thumbs up and thumbs down. And I was taken aback yesterday because the two were neck and neck. I mean, the thumbs down were right up there with the thumbs up. And I thought, and all the while I was driving home, I thought, what the hell was it that I said that would warrant so many thumbs down? What could I possibly said? And I started thinking through my mind, trying to recall, because when I do these videos, I just spit out what's on my mind. and sometimes in doing so, I may say the wrong thing, or I may say something that I didn't mean to say, or something that I said came across wrong, or what have you. And I just kept, as I'm driving along, I just kept trying to think, what the hell did I say that would have so many people wondering what, what and I forgot to turn off the comments on this video. So if you comment, I'm not going to be able to read it because I'm not wearing my glasses. But anyway, so I'm driving along and I'm trying to, figure out what the hell did I say that would have gotten so many thumbs down. And I thought, maybe it was the fact that, I'm going to be, driving around in a truck, I'm bringing a companion, or maybe it was the fact that I went to a dentist and spent, whatever it is, or whatever. Anyway, I just kept thinking about all this stuff. And it never, you never know when you're going to do a video what the reaction is going to be. And in anticipation of today's video, I found myself thinking back to one of the strangest doctor visits I ever had in my life. It was for those of you that have followed me for years, you know about my condition, if you want to call it that. But one of the strangest visits I ever had in a doctor's office happened in Cleveland, Ohio. And I went to see this ears, nose, and throat doctor. And he examined me. And as the examination was drawing to a close, and I'm, putting on my shirt or getting ready, and he's doing whatever he's doing, he asked me, he said, Tom, he said, do you have OCD? Do you have OCD? And I thought, OCD. And I'd heard the acronym before, but I wasn't sure what it was. I had heard it used, but I just didn't really know what OCD was. And he said, well, it stands for obsessive compulsive disorder. Do you have obsessive compulsive disorder? I said, I don't know. I said, how would I know if I have obsessive compulsive disorder? And he said, well, are you always putting things in the right place? And are you obsessed with, all this different type of stuff? And I said, I don't know. I said, not more than anybody else, I guess. I said, I really couldn't tell you. So anyway, I didn't ask him to elaborate on the question. And he didn't share anything else with it. And anyway, so I was driving home that day. And, one of the things that I'm grateful for having been blessed with is a very analytical mind. I've got a very, very analytical mind. I always want to know why things work the way they do, why people think the way they do, and trying to understand stuff. So the whole way home that day, I kept thinking, kept asking myself, what a strange question. Why Why would an ear, nose, and throat doctor ask me that question? So at the time, I was struggling with some type of diagnosis. And I got to tell you, when you're at the mercy of at the medical profession, when you're at the mercy of doctors, boy, is it, when you're dealing with your health, albeit your mental health or your physical health, and you're at the mercy of doctors, you'd like to think when you walk into a doctor's office, any doctor's office, that they're just as competent and as intelligent as another. And what I found out over the years is that finding a good doctor is like playing darts in the dark. And that would have been a good title for this video, Darts in the Dark. But but anyway, the finding a good doctor is a rarity. So anyway, as I proceeded through my life, there was always this question in the back of my mind: do I have OCD? And then I thought to myself, as I was continuing to seek treatment for my condition, as I was continuing to seek treatment, I always in the back of my mind thought, well, gee, these doctors, you go from one doctor to another, and they're always looking at each other's notes. They're always looking at each other's notes, and I thought to myself, okay, sure enough, as I go through, and see other doctors, they're going to be looking at this doctor's notes, and they're just going to come to the conclusion, oh, this guy's got OCD. So what I did was I went to my primary doctor at the VA, and say what you will about the VA. Those of you overseas, that's in the United States, that's the Veterans Administration. It's the medical health care system for veterans in the United States. And anyway, so I went to my primary care doctor, and I asked for a referral to a psychologist. And he said, why do you want to go see a psychologist? I said, I want to find out for sure if I do or don't have OCD. And my doctor said, do you think you have OCD? And I said, I don't know, doc. I don't know if I have OCD, but I want to find out. So he gave me a referral, and I spent, I don't know how many sessions lying on the couch. Well, I wasn't lying on a couch. I was sitting in a chair. But I spent quite a few sessions in the psychologist's chair, going over whether or not I had OCD. And for all I know, she was looking for other stuff too, other mental deficiencies or conditions. But anyway, so long story short, after seeing her for quite some time, and she really dug deep. I mean, she went really deep into my childhood and everything, and she came back with the notes that I am something. I think it was something to the effect of a perfectly normal mental healthy adult male or something like that. But anyway, so what made me think about this was the conversation from yesterday. I've been diagnosed with Asperger's. I've been diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. And I looked at that and diagnosed in the comments of the thing yesterday. And I got to tell you that it's interesting, the discussions that can ensue from my videos. I realize that when I do these videos, such as I'm doing today, that I really throw myself out to the wolves. I'm throwing myself out to the wolves to be eaten alive. And I've been doing these videos now for years, and I've been doing videos for years. I've been doing a lot of travel videos, particularly a lot of travel videos, if only to chronicle my own life. And somewhere along the line, I got into these morning thought videos. And so when you do these videos, you ultimately you're throwing yourself out there to the wolves. And life is, when you understand people, people have a some of the most natural tendencies in people are greed, jealousy, envy, hatred. Some of those are are some of the very fundamentals. Jealousy, greed, envy, hatred, all those type of things. And those are emotions that I purged, or tried to purge. They're natural. Their emotions or feelings that are naturally inherent to people. They come naturally. They come, they come pre-installed, so to speak, when you're brought into this world. And most of the times when I see the comments on my videos that are, such as yesterday, most of the times I realize that the underlying motivation of those, is coming from people that, not always, and I'm not saying that every time somebody makes a bad comment about me or something that is the underlying motivation, but more times than not, the underlying motivation of people is going to be something like jealousy, envy, hatred, anger, that type of thing. And you just got to learn to deal with it, and just let it roll off, and don't even comment on it. But yesterday there was a gentleman that questioned whether or not I had Asperger's. And and then somebody else came back and basically diagnosed me as having Asperger's. And so this morning, I've heard of Asperger's. It was like the OCD thing. I've heard of Asperger's before, but I just didn't really know the diagnosis. And just like when the doctor diagnosed me with what is it, OCD? Just like when the doctor diagnosed me with OCD, I thought, well, gee, maybe these people know something I don't know. Maybe these people are onto something. So I woke up this morning and I looked up the definition of Asperger's, and I'm looking at something where it says it's a developmental disorder affecting a people's ability to effectively socialize and communicate. And I thought, gee, is my ability to socialize and communicate, affected? And as I looked at that, and I remembered, I found myself thinking of, my traveling around the world and engaging people and doing videos and all that type of stuff. And I thought, gee, that's socially awkward. That is really, really socially awkward. But no, I'm not. I don't think that I am socially. I don't think that my ability to effectively socialize and communicate is is that what is really a problem. And then I went on to read about the symptoms of Asperger's. And the symptoms are people with this condition may be socially awkward and have an all-absorbing interest in specific topics. An all-absorbing interest in specific topics. And I thought, damn, what all-absorbing interest do I have, and in what topics? And I started thinking about that. And I don't have any all-absorbing interest in one particular topic or another, interestingly enough. And that's one of my challenges when it comes to dating. And somebody says, "What are your interests? What are your interests?" And I'm like, traveling. I like to travel. And and it's because I don't have. I'm not obsessed with any one particular interest or another. If anything, I'm obsessed with my work. I love my work. So maybe I'm obsessed with my work. But anyway, and then the diagnosis went on to read behavioral aggression. Behavioral aggression. Okay. Compulsive behavior, fidgeting, impulsivity, repetitive movements, social isolation. And I thought, that's it. I'm socially isolated. I live alone. That's it. I've got Asperger's. I live alone. That's why they're coming to that conclusion, because I live alone and I'm socially isolated. No, I don't think so. But what else is on here? Persistent repetition of words or actions. Persistent repetition of words or actions. And I've been told that I repeat myself sometimes, but I don't think it's persistent. But anyway, muscular inability to combine muscle movements, poor coordination, or tic. Okay, muscular inability to combine muscular movements. Okay, mood. Okay, so my mood should be anger, anxiety, or apprehension. Anger, anxiety, or apprehension. I'm not angry, but I get a little anxious sometimes. Sometimes I do get a little bit anxious. But anyway, what else is on here? Also common, depression. Every now and then I get depressed, but I think everybody does. Every now and then, but not too often. Intense interest in a limited number of things. I do have an interest in a limited number of things. I will confess that, but I don't necessarily think that it's intense. I like to travel. I like my work. I like women. Well, I do have an intense like in women, I will confess. So I don't know. I do have an intense like. I intensely like women. Intensely. Okay, let's see what else. Learning disability, nightmares. No, I sleep pretty well at night. Or sensitivity to sound. No, I really don't have a. So, I am no medical doctor myself, okay? But reading the symptoms of Asperger's, and my heart goes out, by the way, to anybody that has Asperger's, anybody that, is unfortunate to find themselves in this world with such a condition. My heart goes out to you. But by my reading that, okay, by my reading that, I don't think that I don't think that I have Asperger's syndrome. So anyway, I just wanted to shed some thoughts. I could have read that stuff and had the tendency to crawl up in a little hole, but I'm not going to let the bullies of YouTube get the better of me. And that's basically what people are. A lot of the people, and I'm not generalizing, I'm just saying a good portion of those people that have the tendency to share such comments, they're living unfulfilled lives. You're living an unfulfilled life. Life didn't turn out the way that you wanted it to. Okay. You have this tendency, you have low self-esteem. So to build yourself up, you go and you tear others down so you can make yourself feel better about yourself. And that's I've experienced people like that. I've experienced people like you all throughout my life. And I've learned to just weed you out, and just continue moving forward in life. And one of the interesting things that I learned about life at an early stage were some of the fundamental fears, of human beings. And I think the top fundamental fears of human beings is the fear of death. The fear of death is right up there at the top. Number two, I believe, is the fear of illness. Fear of illness. Public speaking, the fear of public speaking is right up at or near the top. And then, interestingly enough, one of the top fears of people, one of the top fears that people have is fear of criticism. Fear of criticism. And people go through their life and they're so often concerned with what are other people going to say about me? If I do this, what are other people going to say? You know, what are people saying about what I did? And people go through life and they have this fear of criticism. And, you know, like I said yesterday, the pillow knows the truth. That's what's important. As you go through life, it's not that you don't want to be conscientious or listen to what other people say about you, but you need to be able to discern, you know, when people are saying stuff about you, what, you know, you need to understand or have some understanding as to what's their underlying motivation. If their underlying motivation is something that's along the lines of hate, envy, jealousy, greed, then you just need to brush that off. You just need to brush that off and just continue moving forward in life. And so anyway, but those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. And you know what? I will tell you this. Those of you out there that see these YouTube, I don't know. I don't like calling names, but YouTube, well, I'm not going to call names. I'm reading the book of James, by the way. And the book of James tells you to tame your tongue. You know, tame your tongue. You know, it's an interesting concept that taming of the tongue. You know, they talk about how powerful the tongue is. And I guess the analogy is a big ship going through the water, and it's a massive ship. But that little rudder, you know, that little rudder is what steers the ship, you know, one way or another. So the tongue is the tongue is the rudder, steering me through through the sea of life, so to speak. So I'm not going to go down the path of calling these people names. But for those of you out there that are quick to come to my defense, do me a favor. Don't even engage those people. I appreciate you wanting to come to my defense and all that type of stuff. But in all honesty, don't let such comments get the better of you. Don't waste your time coming to my defense. Okay, I'm a big boy. I can deal with it. I appreciate your desire to want to come to my aid, so to speak. But that's not really not necessary. So anyway, with all that being said, time to get on with the day. And in doing so, we'll do the question of the day today. And the question of the day. I'm on a roll. I've got 3 in a row now. Let's see if I can get the question of the day. Alexa, good morning.
Good morning, and allow me to welcome actor and comedian Billy Crystal.
Good morning, everybody. It's me, Billy Crystal. And you know, I'm not the only useful crystal. Did you know quartz has been helping us keep time since 1927 when it was first used in a clock? With that piece of useful knowledge, please have a nice day.
There you go.
He's pretty good at this. Would you like to hear from Billy when you say good morning for the next few days?
No.
Okay, I'll keep greeting you. If you want to hear from Billy instead, just say let Billy Crystal say good mornings.
You see, I'm not socially isolated. I've got Alexa. So I'm not completely socially isolated. Alexa, what's the question of the day?
Good morning. Here is today's question of the day. The topic is literature. It is worth 5 points. Sidney Carton is a character in which 1859 novel by Charles Dickens? You can answer A, A Tale of Two Cities, B, The Red Pony, C. Oliver Twist, or D. The Catcher in the Rye?
I don't know. What is C?
Great guess. Oliver Twist was published about 20 years before the story involving Sidney Carton. The correct answer was A. A Tale of Two Cities. In Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities, Sidney Carton is a shrewd, quick-minded young lawyer, portrayed as depressed and self-loathing because of what he sees as his wasted life.
All right, so I'm 1 for 4. I bet Paula up in Louisiana, the librarian, I bet she got that one without a problem. But before I forget, there's one other thing that I wanted to address. There seems to be some ongoing discussion as to my treatment of beautiful Sylvania in Portugal. And it's interesting. I look at that also, and people will share comments that I treated Sylvania poorly. And over the years, I've been so fortunate to have some really, really wonderful women in my life. And I'll tell you this: anytime that I've been fortunate to have a lady in my life, I've always tried to treat that woman with respect, with kindness, with love, all of that stuff. Sylvania was absolutely no different. And that was it was a very, very awkward situation with her, in that she spoke absolutely zero English. I mean, we had zero ability to communicate with each other without using a cell phone to do translation, and the translation was not always the best. So you couldn't really have deep, meaningful conversations with each other. And I had communicated to Sylvania, as far as when I was going over there, that any type of a long-term relationship would be challenging at best, given the fact that she doesn't have the ability to come to the United States. I don't want to move to I don't want to move to Portugal. It just on and on and on. We can't speak English. We can't communicate, rather. So the whole situation itself with Sylvania was it was a very awkward moment. It was a very awkward experience, but it was a beautiful experience. It was a fun experience. It was a beautiful experience, and I would be willing to bet that through the assistance of Google Translate, that Sylvania would say anything but I mistreated her when I was over there in Portugal with her. Sylvania and I shared some really, really wonderful times together, and when you spend time with somebody, it doesn't have to always be for the intent and purpose of living happily ever after. You can share an experience with somebody and just appreciate it for the experience itself. Not necessarily the value of the experience isn't necessarily determined by how long you're with somebody. So anyway, but just to that nature, in regard to women, I've always tried to treat women with respect and kindness and love, and when I believe that in the Bible, when it talks about how a man should treat a woman, and I believe this is that a man should elevate his woman. A man should hold his woman up and elevate and cherish a woman. That's how I believe that a woman should be treated in a relationship. And anyway, so that's about that. But speaking of women, look at this. I don't know if you can see this or not, This is going to be me in a couple weeks. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be with her or not, but look at that truck. That is my truck, and that's the truck I'm going to be driving across the United States. And I went with this interior. I don't know how well you can see this. Most of the trucks on the lots have black interior, but this interior came with it's called a Frost with an indigo interior, and it's going to be a nice. I think it's going to be a nice trip. I think it's going to be a nice. It's going to be a nice summer, and I'm looking forward to getting back out to Sun Valley. Is where I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to getting back out to Sun Valley and just kind of. I remember that afternoon, Yanae and I were in Sun Valley and learning how to fly fish on the lawn of that beautiful, beautiful hotel. But maybe I'll try to do some fly fishing this summer. Another thing I want to do is the Road to the Sun. For those of you not familiar with that, just search that on Google. Just type in Road to the Sun, Road to the Sun. And boy, what I did that before, but I think I was in a hurry. I didn't saunter up the Road to the Sun. But I think that I'm going to do that again. So let's do the high hope today. The high hope today, look for the growth. It may not seem so at first, but the darkest days often provide the great opportunities. Among the negativity and the turmoil, there will be hidden moments. Look for them. They are chances for growth, for love, and forgiveness. All right. So I'm looking for the moments, from yesterday's video. Anyway, and then the quote is from Francis Bacon: "A man must make his opportunity as oft as find it." A man must make his opportunity as oft as find it. So anyway, folks, that's it for the day, and I will wish all of you a good day. Okay. And as far as you folks that have this tendency to want to diagnose, go back to your medical journals, please. Go back to your medical journals and try again. Okay. Try again to diagnose me. All right. Have a great day.